Florian Wirtz has a Liverpool problem that even Mohamed Salah and Alexander Isak can't resolve. Liverpool Football Club spent a staggering $116 million on one of Europe's brightest young talents, Florian Wirtz, a player many described as the future of attacking football. He was supposed to step into Anfield and immediately become the spark that would separate Arne Liverpool from every other contender in England and Europe. But here we are, weeks into the season, and the reality is very different. Instead of dazzling defenders, Wirtz has found himself subdued, muscled out of games and struggling to adapt to the relentless pace and physicality of English football. And the worrying part? Not even world-class teammates like Mohamed Salah or Alexander Isak can resolve the issue for him. This is a story of expectation versus reality, and why Wirtz now faces the defining challenge of his young career. When Liverpool sanctioned a deal worth $157 million for Florian Wirtz, it wasn't just another transfer. It was a statement. It said, this club is serious about its future. Arne Slot had only just begun to shape his vision for Liverpool, and already the board had handed him one of the most technically gifted playmakers in world football. For Liverpool fans, the arrival of Wirtz was a dream. The echoes of Philippe Coutinho's magic, the creativity Liverpool had sometimes lacked in recent years, all seemed ready to return. Wirtz had been the heartbeat of Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen side, orchestrating attacks, scoring from distance, threading impossible passes, and playing with a maturity far beyond his years. His reputation was built on elegance, intelligence, and an ability to bend the tempo of a match to his will. But English football is not the Bundesliga. And while talent travels, adaptation is everything. That's where the gap between hype and reality has started to widen. It would be unfair to say Wirtz has been a flop. That word doesn't fit. There have been flashes, moments where he slips between two defenders effortlessly, or when he executes a perfectly weighted pass that cuts through lines. The Anfield crowd has already gasped in appreciation at certain touches, yet those moments remain isolated. In the Premier League, brilliance must be sustained. Against teams like Burnley, where Wirtz should have thrived, he looked fragile. The defenders, less concerned with beauty and more focused on brute force, knocked him off the ball time and again. In Istanbul against Galatasaray, the story repeated itself. Instead of dictating, he reacted. Instead of controlling, he chased. And this is where the frustration lies. Liverpool didn't spend $116 million for glimpses. They spent it for dominance. They invested for a player who could take games by the scruff of the neck. So far, that hasn't happened. Here lies the crux of Wirtz's Liverpool problem. His issue isn't technique, vision, or skill. Those are intact. His challenge is physicality. The Premier League is unforgiving. Defenders close space quicker. Tackles bite harder. Transitions unfold at breakneck speed. For someone accustomed to the rhythm of the Bundesliga, where games breathe differently, the adjustment is enormous. Wirtz has been shrugged off the ball too easily. Midfield battles, the engine of English football, often see him come out second best. His frame, slight compared to the muscular opponents around him, hasn't yet adapted. And while Liverpool's system emphasizes pressing, intensity, and duels, Wirtz hasn't fully synced into that rhythm. It's not the first time Liverpool fans have seen this. Philippe Coutinho, in his early days, looked lightweight. Adam Lallana, too, often brushed aside in challenges. Both players grew, both found ways to cope, whether by adding physical strength, sharpening decision-making, or learning to move the ball quicker. Wirtz must follow the same path. The shadow of Coutinho looms large, not because Wirtz is a carbon copy, but because fans remember how Coutinho evolved. Early on, the Brazilian's dribbles dazzled, but he often faded in the face of aggressive challenges. Over time, though, he added grit. His core strength improved, his balance became better, and his decisions quicker. By his peak, he was untouchable, gliding past challenges, striking thunderbolts from range, and dictating games. For Wirtz, this is the model. It's not about abandoning artistry. Liverpool didn't buy him to be another combative midfielder. It's about enhancing artistry with resilience. The Premier League doesn't respect fragility. And until Wirtz proves he can take a hit and keep playing, doubts will remain. Here's the irony. Liverpool's other stars, Salah and Alexander Isak, can't fix this problem for him. They can score, assist, and provide options. But they cannot shoulder the burden that belongs solely to Wirtz. Salah may draw defenders away. Isak may create space with his movement. But when Wirtz is in possession, it's his duel to win. If he loses that battle physically, no system or superstar can cover for it. That's why this isn't just a tactical issue. It's fundamental. Until Wirtz himself adapts, Liverpool will not see the player they thought they bought. Arne Slot, pragmatic and thoughtful, is aware of this. After the Galatasaray match, he told Amazon Prime, "The focus is always on the new signings, which is normal if you see the amount of money." Especially first half, Florian was many times involved in dangerous situations that we created. Maybe not everyone is adjusted to each other. Slot is right. Chemistry takes time. But even within that context, he knows Wirtz must evolve. The Dutch coach inherited a Liverpool side used to Klopp's heavy metal football. Now, he's building something slightly different, more controlled, more possession-oriented, more tactical. Wirtz should, in theory, be the perfect fit. But until his body matches his brain, the fit remains incomplete. And so we arrive at the immediate future. Chelsea away. Another high-pressure fixture, another chance for Wirtz to step out of the shadows. A goal at Stamford Bridge could change the entire narrative. Confidence breeds confidence. And for flair players, one big performance can flip perception overnight. But equally, another subdued showing will add to the questions. Liverpool fans are patient, but patience has limits, especially with a $116 million signing. The path forward is clear. Wirtz doesn't need to abandon who he is. He needs to evolve. That evolution may come in two forms. Physical adaptation, building core strength, learning to use his body to shield the ball, adding resilience to withstand challenges. Mental adaptation, speeding up decisions, anticipating pressure earlier and staying 2 steps ahead. Coutinho did it. Lallana did it. Even foreign stars across the league have done it. Those who adapt thrive. Those who don't fade. For Liverpool, the hope is obvious. Once Wirtz adjusts, his ceiling is limitless. His vision, technique, and creativity could redefine their attack. But right now, the frustration is equally obvious. Until he adapts, Liverpool's $116 million gamble remains a question mark. Florian Wirtz has a Liverpool problem. A problem money can't solve, teammates can't solve, and tactics can't hide. It is a problem only he can solve. His journey at Anfield has only just begun, but already it feels like a pivotal moment. Will he rise to the challenge, add steel to silk, and become the playmaker Liverpool dreamed of? Or will the physicality of English football dull his shine? One thing is certain. The story of Florian Wirtz at Liverpool is just beginning, but the next chapters will define whether this $116 million wonder kid becomes a legend at Anfield, or just another expensive what if. UK national media agree on Florian Wirtz and why Liverpool will see a new side to Arne's slot back-to-back defeats. For Liverpool, a club that prides itself on resilience, that phrase always sends alarm bells ringing. First Crystal Palace in the Premier League, then Galatasaray in the Champions League. Suddenly, the atmosphere feels different. Questions are being asked, doubts are being whispered, and for the first time since Arne Slot took charge, the national media are circling. Florian Wirtz, the $116 million man, finds himself at the heart of the conversation. And Arne Slot, once praised for his golden touch, now faces his first true test at Anfield. In football, momentum is everything. A single defeat can be brushed aside as an off day. 2 defeats in quick succession, however, and the narrative changes. Suddenly, weaknesses become patterns, mistakes become trends, and individuals are singled out. Liverpool's loss at Crystal Palace wasn't catastrophic on its own. A tough away day, a slip in concentration, a narrow defeat. These things happen. But when followed by a limp showing in Istanbul against Galatasaray, the headlines wrote themselves. Liverpool wobbling. Slot's honeymoon over. Wirtz yet to shine. This is the nature of elite football. Praise is loud when you win, but criticism is louder when you lose. And in England, the media are relentless when a club like Liverpool, Premier League champions, European giants, serial contenders, shows cracks in the armor. No signing escapes scrutiny in English football. But for Wirtz, the attention is magnified. Why? Because of the price tag. $16 million? Liverpool's record deal. A player who turned down Manchester City to choose Anfield. A Bundesliga golden boy now in the Premier League spotlight. The BBC summarized it perfectly. One of the major sources of concern in Liverpool's season so far is the lack of impact from Wirtz, rich in talent and pedigree, but still seeking his first Liverpool goal. Wirtz's story so far has been one of promise without end product. In Istanbul, he had one shot that forced a save, but otherwise drifted out of the game. For a playmaker meant to dictate, his touches felt peripheral. That, the BBC argued, is the gap Liverpool must close, turning isolated contributions into game-changing influence, and fans agree. They see the touches, the neat passes, the glimpses of brilliance. But they also see the lack of goals, the absence of assists, the moments when he's bullied off the ball. At this level, glimpses are not enough. The Times went deeper, framing Liverpool's defeats not as isolated blips, but as part of a wider concern. Their report noted how lingering concerns are now stepping out of the shadows, specifically about betting in new arrivals like Wirtz, the sudden defensive lapses, and the decline in clean sheets compared to last season. The Times' analysis pointed to systemic issues. How do Liverpool integrate their new stars seamlessly? Why has the defensive solidity slipped, with only 2 clean sheets this year compared to 6 at the same stage last season? And crucially, how can Wirtz, a player used to operating with freedom at Leverkusen, be molded into a weapon in Slot's system? This wasn't just criticism, it was a warning. Liverpool's squad is stacked with talent, but talent alone doesn't win leagues or European trophies. Cohesion does. And right now, cohesion is missing. Perhaps the sharpest assessment came from The Telegraph. For 15 months, they noted, everything Arne Slot touched seemed to turn to gold. His Feyenoord side overachieved, his Liverpool start looked seamless. But Istanbul showed a different side, one where decisions backfired. The Telegraph highlighted 3 key points. Salah benched. Leaving Liverpool's talisman on the bench for an hour felt like a gamble that didn't pay off. By the time he came on, Galatasaray had momentum. Frimpong misused. Slot deployed Jeremy Frimpong in an advanced role rather than at right back. The move not only blunted Frimpong's natural game, but also disrupted balance, forcing Szoboszlai deeper, which led to conceding the decisive penalty. Momentum lost. Liverpool, once masters of control, surrendered initiative too easily. Their verdict? Slot will now have to show a different side. Not the bold, free-flowing Slot of Feyenoord, but the pragmatic, resilient Slot, capable of steering Liverpool through turbulence. The Daily Mail framed it with history. No miracle of Istanbul this time, they wrote, reminding readers of Liverpool's iconic 2005 triumph in the same city. But this time, instead of miracles, there were mistakes. Their assessment struck at Liverpool's defensive heart. Konate, once seen as the heir to Van Dijk's leadership, looked vulnerable. His error in possession gifted Osimhen the decisive chance. The Mail argued that for all Liverpool's attacking riches, Salah, Isak, Wirtz, their defensive fragility could derail ambitions both domestically and in Europe. They noted the eerie similarity between the Palace and Galatasaray defeats. Both featured sloppy errors, both showed a lack of control, both ended with Liverpool ruining missed chances. That, the Mail insisted, should worry Slot more than any single tactical decision. So here we are. Arne Slot, the Dutch tactician hailed for his clarity, his man management, his attacking football, now faces the first genuine crisis of his Liverpool tenure. It's not a crisis of results yet. Liverpool remain top of the Premier League. But it is a crisis of perception. Perception matters in football. Right now, the perception is this. Liverpool's new signings aren't fully integrated. Wirtz, the $116 million jewel, hasn't found his spark. The defense is vulnerable, and Slot's tactical gambles haven't always paid off. All of this feeds into the build-up to Chelsea. A game that now feels like a litmus test, not just for Liverpool's season, but for Slot's early authority. Win, and the noise fades. Lose, and the questions grow louder. What makes this story bigger is the fan reaction. Liverpool supporters are famously passionate, but also demanding. They embraced Slot quickly, celebrated the signing of Wirtz, and trusted the process. But even they have limits. Social media tells the tale. Frustration at Wirtz being too easily muscled off the ball. Confusion over Salah's benching. Anger at defensive lapses. Fans don't just see results, they feel performances. And right now, performances aren't inspiring belief. Here's the bigger picture. Liverpool are not broken. Far from it. They remain a squad stacked with talent, coached by a manager with fresh ideas, sitting atop the league table. But cracks are there. And cracks, if ignored, become fractures. For Wirtz, the solution remains the same as in Season 1. Adapt, toughen, and assert himself. For Slot, the challenge is broader. Restore control, find balance, and prove he can navigate setbacks with authority. The Chelsea game will not define the season, but it will define the narrative. A win, and suddenly it's back to business. A defeat, and the storm grows louder. The UK media have spoken with rare unity. Wirtz must step up. Slot must show resilience. Liverpool, despite their quality, cannot afford to stumble. This is the turning point of their early season. And here's the truth. The great Liverpool sides of history weren't defined by easy wins. They were defined by how they responded to adversity. For Wirtz, for Slot, and for this Liverpool squad, adversity has arrived. The next chapter is about how they respond.